Everyone, I hope you're well. Welcome to my channel. If you've not been here before, it's where I talk about twin flame process. So this video is going to be about twin flame process, and we're going to be looking at why it's so important to surrender or let go, and what happens from doing that and how you do it. Okay, because I'm getting more and more readings that I'm doing for people that I'm really seeing this maybe not understanding what letting go is, or not doing letting go, and not and not getting their heads around letting go and all that kind of stuff. And even for myself, I know that I have to constantly remind myself to let go, and it's a constant work in progress. So we're going to look at a few things, tie up some loose ends, try and bring some understandings towards each other so everything is clarified in terms of what these things are, that kind of stuff. Maybe we're going to heal some misconceptions around twin flame process as well. So the first big thing that we're going to look at is the misconception that you have to heal the twin flame energy. And I see this all over the place. This term healing is all over the place, all over YouTube. It runs throughout the spiritual community, spiritual teachings, in terms of this word healing. And we're going to look at what that actually is and why that's probably about the worst thing you could decide you're going to do for this twin flame process. So, contrary to most of the information that's put out all over the place, there is no need to ever go towards your twin flame connection and try and heal it externally from your ego. So, how we're going to explain this is, first of all, we go right back to the start of things. So you have to look at where you incarnate from, which is pure energy, so it's like electricity, and why you incarnate here. So you're here as a twin flame to uplevel humankind into operating from highest consciousness, which is where you come from originally. So highest consciousness is operating from just your vibration, your electricity, which is what source energy is. So you're here as a twin flame to work through a process of demolishing the ego that resides inside of you and rising into your highest consciousness, which is your vibrational point of authority, authenticity, and then manifesting forward into your physical life from that point. So this work that you incarnate for is direct service for Source. So it's what you're here for. So there's never anything wrong in what you're going through at any given time on this journey. Therefore, nothing ever needs to be healed. There's never anything wrong with what your twin's going through on this journey at any point. So therefore, there is nothing ever that needs to be healed. Not from outside of yourself. And outside of yourself means from outside of your vibration. You are your vibration. You are electricity. Outside of your vibration is what lies the ego. And the ego is when you come into your incarnated life and then you start to form opinions and viewpoints around why you're here, coming from your ego. We've spoken before about higher consciousness, which is source energy, which is where you are going through this. So it's like this, look, it looks like an L shape. Source, which is where you come from, which is vibrational energy, electricity, comes down into you, you incarnate, you're born, and then you start to work your way through your journey, your twin flame journey. So it's an L shape, right? So the source is where you're always connected to. Vibration, energy, electricity, higher consciousness, and this is a point to let go. So source, within the source energy, what it is, and how it is compatible, comparable, as surrender, because it's also surrender, so you could relabel source as surrender. That word means that it's just knowing, it's just feeling, and in that there is just trusting, and there is just letting go again, and there's just surrender, and there is freedom. So all these things are what source energy is, because it's divine purpose, and divine purpose has purpose, and it has purpose from beyond the ego. So it means you don't see it with your physical eyes and understand from your physical description of your life and your personal journey and your personality and your ego what you're doing here. Not until you come into the understanding that source is everything that looks like it's going wrong in your life being exactly right, because it's exactly where you're meant to be, and then surrendering around that. So letting go is letting go of absolutely everything that is contrary to what you would want to be happening, that is not happening in your life right now. Right? So because source is surrender and source is letting go, because it's divine purpose and it's divine plan, therefore it has a reason for everything that happens in your life, which is knowingness, right? And that's knowingness as in not thinking, but just, it's like, you know, when you're connected to source energy, you are in this energy of, I know I'm here for a reason. I might not see what it is from where I'm standing right now in my physical life, but I know I'm here for a greater reason than this particular moment in my physical life. So here you are physically incarnated and you got all this shit hitting the fan. Because what happens is when you come here and you incarnate for an experience of being separate from source. And you incarnate and you take on the aspects of being human. And that is the ego and egoic consciousness. And egoic consciousness is thinking consciousness. So it's everything that comes from your mind. And it's all the thoughts that you have. And it's all the logic and the reasoning and the trying to work things out and the trying to come to a better conclusion and the trying to understand why things are happening to you from your mind. So we've got in here as well, we've got psychology, we've got psychiatry, we've got all these other aspects that come from thought consciousness, and people trying to heal what is the human experience through anything that's aspecting thought consciousness. So you've got, for example, if you're twin flame, there's points on this journey where you feel like you're going absolutely crazy. The craziness is actually the ascension. It's where you're hooking back into source rather than hooking into collective consciousness. So you're what collective consciousness, egoic consciousness would call a viewpoint, because viewpoints come from the mind. They're having an opinion. That means they come from the ego. So look at the language people use. Viewpoint comes from ego. It's coming from the mind. It's an opinion. Source has no opinion. It comes from a state of no mind. It's got no viewpoint. It's only got surrender and letting go. So it only has the understanding ever that everything is always all right, exactly as it is right now, in the present moment that you're standing in your life right now. It never has the viewpoint that, oh, this should be different. Yeah, this is wrong. You should be a bit more like this. Well, if you just try to do this, maybe you could like do this and this and this and this. Maybe you could think like this instead, right? So on the twin flame journey, what you do is you incarnate and you're here to like demolish the egoic thought. And we could say there's black and white in this egoic thought, and yes, there is, because there's some good and there's some bad. But those are still viewpoints, right? Good and bad. They're still black and white. It's still viewpoint. It's still egoic consciousness. It's not let go. It's not, this is good happening to me right now. That's egoic consciousness. This is bad happening to me right now. That's egoic consciousness. The only point of let go is this is happening exactly in the way it's meant to be happening right now, and there's no reason for me to feel or think one way about it. It is what it is, what it is, what it is, what it is, and it's meant to be like this, and I may not know why, but I just know, because I have knowingness, that I'm here for a divine purpose, that everything is exactly as it's meant to be right now in this present moment. So that's your let go, right? In effect, in opposition to your ego. Ego will try and reason. It will try and bring you into some kind of conclusion that comes from your thoughts around what's going on in your life right now. Source will ask you to let go and surrender to what is going on right now and to have no viewpoint on it at all. So that's the difference between higher consciousness, surrender, and ego thought consciousness, and how it is in you and what's in effect in your twin flame process here in demolishing the ego from inside of yourself. Healing, actual healing, true healing, through a physical endeavour of becoming human, right, incarnating into a physical experience, which appears to be an experience where you are separate from source. So that's how it starts off. Your twin flame experience is about coming into acknowledgement that you are connected to source, and this goes on all the way through your process, where you bounce back and forth between the ego and higher self in demolishing the ego and coming into more. So you go down into the dark, you clear it out, you go down into fear, you experience it, and then you rise back up into higher consciousness and you delete that fear. So your purge process is the deletion of fear, not just from your experience in a personal level, but from the whole human experience, because you're here as forerunners of divine purpose, which is coming into the energy of surrender in a human vehicle. So it's the reconnection to source. So you're coming here for an individual experience where you appear to be separate from source. You then start to move through an experience where you are, your divine purpose, your reason for being here is to eliminate that ego that tells you you're having a separate experience, clear the fear that arises through that ego, the fear of sex, death and taxes, the fear that you only live here for a short time and you've got to pack it all into one lifetime because then you're dead and you cease to exist. The fear is that, and it's in everything. It's in money, it's in sex, it's in relationships, it's in life itself, it's everywhere. It runs through egoic consciousness, and that's why there's fear in egoic consciousness. And you're here to clear that inside yourself and then rise up into highest consciousness, which is your point of surrender and your point of understanding. I am freedom. I am freedom. I am the soul. I am. I exist forever. I'm an eternal being. I am freedom. I am therefore completion. I am therefore source energy. Source is completion. Source is freedom. It's freedom. It's freedom is surrender. It's let go. Right? So you're here to move between these two portals of energy, dark and true love, light, true light, and to come into this understanding that I am source. I am freedom. I am divine purpose. I am knowingness. I am clarity. I am surrender. I am let go. I am the let go. The let go is inside of you, right? So what is the true healing then of humanity? And your process is the healing of humanity through your activity of transmuting dark and coming into true light is the healing of humanity is a dismantling of the ego. So the healing of humanity isn't going into ego and thinking that you can facilitate healing in another through your ego. It's the letting go of the other to facilitate the healing through your process of dismantling your own ego and rising into the light. So that's why there is no need to ever think that you should be going out of yourself to heal your twin on this journey. And because you can't, as a physical individual, through your physical life, the physically derived understanding of your life, which is the egoic consciousness, it's your personality, it's your character, it's your, it's the mundane of life, it's your job, it's your green fingers when you're in the garden, it's that kind of stuff. You can heal your garden by gardening. You can be in touch with nature and heal nature by being near it, physically investigating it with your hands, getting your hands in the dirt. That will heal it. Being around your twin, holding them, yes, that will heal it. There's physical healing in that. But you're meant to also go through let go. And let go means separation from your twin. And when you're separate, you're meant to be healing yourself through this process of purging out the ego so that you eventually arise in higher consciousness, which is love, light and freedom, which is corresponding to the heart in your human body, which is creating the nest for the birth of the physical reunion. So you're always supposed to go to freedom and towards your heart and never towards your thoughts. And if I could just change that person that I'm connected to, if I could just make that person feel better, I can heal them. But you're not supposed to be doing that because you're supposed to be letting go, because you're supposed to be becoming the let go. So you're not supposed to be going into ego thinking that you're going to heal them by thinking about them or fulfilling what it is that they need through you. It's why you can't say to somebody, you go and see this therapist, because that's going to help you. That's going to heal you. And, that's because you don't know why they're here. You don't know why that person's incarnated. People incarnate to take on certain aspects of humanity and clear them. In Twin Flame Journey, people are here to take on the ego and then to work on clearing it, not through outsiders and outsiders' beliefs and outsiders' constraints and constrictions and aberrations in what is true source, but through their own process of dismantling from inside of themselves what is egoic consciousness and rising into higher consciousness. So they've got a direct divine purpose themselves. So you can never think, I'm going to go and heal my twin, because it's not about that. It's about you letting go of them and then them going through the process as you go through the process. So each of these little portals, right, of energy here, every time you go down into the ego and clear out your ego and rise up into higher consciousness, you're connected to somebody who's also going through this process about 1 or 2 steps behind you. And when you go up and down, they're going up and down. So your move into ego, into the fear and dwelling in that place and then coming out of it is moving them through the process as well. So you can heal this twin flame only through energy, never through the physical, never through talking to them, never through, saying, I really wish that you felt better. I really hope you changed. I really think, I really would like it if you could be a bit different now. Because Source never wants anything to be different. Source is freedom. Source is everything is what it is for a very specific reason, which is always divine purpose. It's the reason that you're here. So you're the only way you're ever going to heal them is through the energetic process that you actually go through. So the process is the healing for the twin flame, the actual process. So I see people all over the place trying to run away from their process, trying to get out of the process and not be part of the process and not understand that everything that is on this journey is actually meant to be happening. And when they're running away from their process and they're trying to not be in that process, then they're not healing their twin because they're running away. And what are they trying to heal in the first place? They're trying to heal the ego, and it's the ego that makes the twin run away. So when you're running away from your process and you're not enjoying your process and you're not understanding your process, is that going between the dark and the light and accepting that that is where you're meant to be in any given time, either in the light or the dark? And that is when you're clearing fear, when you're in the dark, and when you're coming into more love and light, when you're in the light. And that's the process you're going through. When you're not understanding that and you're not accepting it, then you are not in let go. You have to accept where you are in any given point in your life at any given time, and then you are in let go. Surrender means surrendering to the present moment, to the what is. It doesn't mean becoming the I am before you've accepted the what is. You can only become the I am of the process once you've accepted the what is of when you're here in the physical body and what you're going through in your life. And then just accept it and know that it's meant to be exactly how it is on the physical level that you can see with your physical eyes and feel through your physical body that's around you, either in fear or in love, and accept where it is and let go and understand that from letting go and accepting that, you will become the I am of the process, and you will become the source of the process yourself. And you will arise into higher consciousness yourself, because higher consciousness always wants you to let go. And why does it look like your twin is running and running and running and running and running, and that physical reunion isn't happening and it's not coming together? It's because you're not letting go and you're not understanding that everything has to be exactly as it is right now. Because the running stops in the other twin when you stop running from your process and you accept that even though you can't see it with your physical eyes, that everything is exactly as it's meant to be, right as it is right now. Surrender. And the more you do that, the more you achieve what is here on this middle line between the two aspects of purge, which is the 0 point. The purge is the masculine, the ego, and the feminine, the higher source understanding. And your freedom point is being in a physical body, perfectly balanced between having an ego, because you have to have one to be here, There has to be dark and light in everything that makes up the physical dimension. It's made of both dark and light. That's why you have to have an ego. So you're perfectly balanced at 0 point between the masculine and feminine energies of love and fear, between ego and higher consciousness. You're existing in a physical body as an aspect of source, working from higher consciousness, but also having an ego. So you can remain here on earth. Because when you die, all that happens is you shed your ego and you go back to source love and higher consciousness. So all that ceases in you is the dark, not the light. So you're here to magnify that and be both light and dark, but a point of only operating from the light in the physical experience. And the light, like we said, is the let go. It's surrender, right? So that's why it's so important to surrender on this journey. And that's why you cannot heal it from on a physical level. From when you're trying to change things on a physical level through the ego. So you're going to someone and you're saying, you know, I think you're my twin flame, but I don't like this about you. I don't like that about you. I think that's wrong. I don't like the way you behave here. I don't like the things you say. When you've got that going on, right? Or you've got someone, or you're going to them and you're saying, you know, I really worry about you. I'm really worried about you that you're not happy. I'm really worried that you're with the wrong person. I'm really worried that you're not with me. I'm really worried that you can't see the light. I'm really worried that you're in the dark. When you're in that, you're in ego yourself. So of course that person's going to be in ego themselves because they're connected to you through vibration. So your worry is their worry in effect. And that's not higher consciousness, because in higher consciousness there's no fear. And fear is worry. So you're here to get rid of the fear and delete the fear. The only way you can do it is by surrendering to the what is. And the what is right now in any given moment. So you can't heal by going out of yourself towards someone physically and asking them to change or asking things to be different from that physical level. We can all do that, and we do it when we purge and we go down into the ego and we're like, I don't like this. I don't want to be here. This feels horrible. I want this to stop. Where's my rewards? Where's my rewards for being here and doing this for such a long time? I've been doing this for years now. I've been going through this for years. I don't see anything on the horizon. Where is it? What's going on, right? And we all do that then when we go into the fear, right? And then we rise up again into higher consciousness and we're like, oh, that feels better. That's because you let go. So always let go. You've got to always let go on this journey. It's all about letting go. And until you fully let go, then you will not arrive at higher consciousness, which is the end point, which is a reunion point. And the other thing as well is that they will bring to you on the physical life as much as is humanly possible that you can let go of. They even bring things back round a second time for you to let go of if you haven't properly let them go the first time. So they will bring back in people that you let go of 10 years before so you can let go of them again if you haven't properly let go of that feeling for that person. Because you're only ending up here with one person, right? You're ending up here with one twin. That's it, the one person. You may or may not know them. It doesn't really matter, because if you're trying to figure out who it is, you're not in let go. So you've got to let go. Example, they said to me, I've told you this in another reading, they said to me, as I zoned in on the middle card of my reading, it felt like a used car salesman. And it was coming along in May. And as I had this, I was pulled into this energy of this card, I also saw my twin's face. And he's got a big grin, he's got twinkly eyes. When he was young, he was a right naughty boy, right? So I saw his face overlapping this energy of this used car salesman. And as I pulled into that, it just went, because these things, they just go, right? You pulled in, then they go. I was like, okay, right, okay. Now, where am I with that? Because I've been told what happens to me. Twofold. We have two men here. We have the twin and we have a used car salesman. Or do we? Do we have one used car salesman that looks like my twin? Or do we have my twin that is now a used car salesman? There's many, many, many things we still don't know about this, right? Is my twin going to be buying a used car at the same time that I'm buying a used car? Am I going to meet him in the forecourt? There's lots of, there would be lots of eventualities in that if we wanted to go into the ego and start to thresh it out and wonder about it. But the fact is, we have to let go. So the only place to go with that, with what they've told me so far, even though they told me something very specific, you could say, because they told me the future, the only place I can go with that is I don't know. I don't know. They might have said that, but I don't know. I, from my physical standpoint, in my physical life, through my egoic lens of my physical life, I don't fucking know, right? But Source says yes. But still, my brain can only say I don't know, because it's still a carrot on a string, right? It's still dangling out there in the future. And what they will do is they will bring things in and they will dangle them out there in the future until you agree you will let go of whatever that is. So when you're constantly being told it's coming, the reunion's coming, yes, it is coming. It's at the end of a long road, which means when you arrive at a full state of let go. They will bring in things all along the way to make you let go around those things, and that is how you will purge, because you'll have a reading that tells you something. It won't happen. You'll go down into the purge and you'll purge it all out from your ego, and you'll thrash out all that wanting things that come from your ego that aren't in your life, so that you are happy eventually when you get to the end of this journey to just stand in your present moment and be in a point of let go, which is a point of I don't know, which is a point of not being corded to your ego, which is a point of surrender, which is a point of higher consciousness, which is a point of arriving in source energy, which is a point of let go. All right, so they bring things to you constantly. Little reminders of your twins. We've got dreams about twins. Yes, you'll have those. Some will be really highly aligned. You'll get glimpses of the future, no doubt, that still won't come for a very long time because you're still not in full let go, but you'll get glimpses also of not so nice things as well. You'll get waking up after a really icky dream about your twin, where it's something, maybe they're ignoring you or something like that, or they turn their back on you, or they're with someone else. All that stuff goes on. It's all to prompt you to let go. Everything that happens to you on this source energy that you go through in your physical existence is to make you let go. Let go is source. That's all it is. So you've always got to let go. You've got to, if you know who your twin is, if you've been connected to them, you will have to go into separation, because you have to let go. I come across so many twins and they're these units, these pairings, and they're not in full separation, and they're batting it back and forth in the physical world, right? So they're batting back and forth in communication. And that is not going nowhere, my friend, because that is not let go. Let go is let go of that and then let it reformulate around the vibration. It works from the energy. It works from the energy of let go. If you let go of what you haven't got, you're only going to get back what is better than that. And these batting back and forth in the physical is going nowhere, and it's nothing. And when you look at it energetically, what I see is I see what is all this like behind. It's like all this stored up money in the bank of all this work, all this energy that these units have done since being here, since incarnated. But they can't access this money in the bank. You can't access the money in the bank till you let go of hanging on to that 1 cent or 1 nickel or 1 dime that you think you've got, right? Or your penny that you think you've got that's so important. The physical connection and the batting back and forth is a 1 pence in comparison to 1,000,000,000 trillion zillion pounds that's hiding away in the bank that you can't see, because you're focusing physically and you're not letting go of it physically, so you can't have what's in the energy bank. But if you let go physically, then you're going to work on your vibration more, because you're going to purge more, because you'll have let go of it. And then you're going to rise higher into higher consciousness and point of let go. And the let go, to just understand again, the let go is in every given moment of your physical life. So the let go isn't a point at the end of the journey that you're trying to get to. The let go is right here, right now. It's letting go. So ultimately, you let go of everything on this journey. This is people, places, events, things. You let go of your history and how you felt about your life and how you felt about yourself in the past. You let go of everything anyone's ever said to you about who you are or who they think you are. You let go of all of that. We've got the rising into power that comes from that, from just releasing the past and letting it go. Releasing the past heals the past. Hanging on to the past keeps you in the pain of the past. So the only healing that can come is through letting go. The healing of where you've come from on this journey can only be facilitated by letting go in your mind of thinking about that past. You see? So again, it's letting go of ego, because ego is always thinking. So then your let go is around your past, and it's around everything you've ever known and everything you've ever been. So then you're brand new. You're a brand new point of energy. You're freedom. So you correspond to let go, and you correspond to freedom, and you correspond to source energy. So that's a point on your path. And that could be today, or it could be tomorrow, or it might have been yesterday if you've done it already. But what's going to be tomorrow? In your physical linear life, it's going to be another reason coming to you in your physical life that's asking you, let go. So what are you hanging on to that needs to be let go of, that you haven't already let go of? Everything has to be let go of. Everything that ever made you feel bad, that you might still think about. Everything that's making you feel bad in your present life. So there's people around you, the communications that you still have. And some of those, if you're connected to your twin, is it making you feel good? If you're connected to someone in the physical world and you're calling that your twin, is it making you feel good? Is it arising you into the power of freedom, of liberation, of source energy, of higher consciousness? Do you feel unencumbered by worry and doubt and stress? Do you feel unencumbered by somebody else's physical performance in this lifetime and how they're operating around worry and stress and debilitating mechanisms like anxiety, etc.? Because if they are debilitated by that, it's because you're worrying. So you need to let go of them and stop worrying about them so they can rise into power as you rise into power through the aspect of letting go. It's only your letting go of them that will give them the freedom to develop their vibration in relation to your vibration once you focus on your vibration. And your vibration is letting go. It's surrender, electricity. It's like you're not here, you're not born. You don't exist in the physical world. Nothing here is important. Nothing matters. That's a huge work of letting go. And like I say, they bring you things back if you haven't let go of them. Case in point, what I'm going through now. If anybody that's been watching me for a really long time will know that I got defrauded back in 2018 out of a great deal of money. And I was told at the time by my guides, you're going to get it all back. And that's how they speak. You're going to get it all back. And it's not come back, right? We're talking 2018. That's quite a long time ago now. And so I had this point of understanding around this. This is money. This is actual money put in the bank. And I'm going to get this money back, and I'm going to get it back threefold, fourfold, I think it is. It's going to get returned to me with benefits. Right? So I have to let go of it. I had to let go. By the end, within 3 months of that happening, I had let go of that. I had trusted my guides in what they were saying, and I had thoroughly let go of all worry and all stress and all debilitating energy inside of myself because of that event I put myself through, that I brought to myself. And I went back to my equilibrium as much as possible, still purging out other things, obviously, because in connection with my twin back there, but not purging out this thing that had happened to me. I let go of that, and I rose my vibration despite that event, and I let go. Right, so, but spirit always wants more. They're always pushing you through more, because the end point is source energy in human form. It is complete and utter let go. What comes from, how do you come into let go? You come into let go by understanding that you are source. And in that there is a divine purpose, like we said. So you can't have any disagreement inside yourself. You can't have any wanting proof inside yourself, right? Source can't be seen with the physical eyes. Energy can't be seen with the physical eyes. Maybe lightning or a spark if you stick your finger in an electric plug or whatever, you know? Well, that's about it, right? You see a spark of energy. You can see it sometimes move, the matrix, right? Sometimes when you're really hooked in, if you get angry or you go high, you might see things flicker and see behind the veil. That's possible too. But behind the veil, you'll see it's just energy. It's just electricity. So when you're coming into this understanding that your source, you're having to let go of any proof in the physical world of what source says. So it's all about the vibration of faith and trust. And in that faith and trust, you can't have faith and trust when you have something. That's why you have to let go. Because if you had it, you wouldn't have to have faith and trust. There would be no reason. You'd have it now. So you would just not bother having faith and trust in source providing it, because you'd have it right now in the physical. So where would be the need for you to have any faith and trust? Divine purpose is divine purpose. It's not a job in the physical. Well, later on it's a job, but when you're going through your energetic process, it's not a job. It's not like your work in the physical world. It's a divine purpose. It can't be seen with the physical eyes. It can only be felt through the energetic process. And they give you little tidbits all along the way, and little signs and synchronicities to keep you hooked in. That's why they do that, keep you hooked in so that you know you're in divine purpose. So you know there's more than meets the eye to the physical existence. So you're getting little glimpses behind the veil, little tiny things and instances of telecommunication, telepathy between the twins, instances in dreams, instances in feeling them around you and all that kind of stuff. You're getting little taster tots of what divine source energy is and how there's more than meets the physical eye in relation to what we're here for, right? And that's to keep you hooked in. But source energy is about faith and trust. So the big ticket that's at the end of the big bonus, all the stuff that you're storing up in your bank as you're in faith and trust moving through your process, the more faith and trust you have is the more big bucks in the bank for you. Is the jackpot that you're rolling onto every week that we're rolling it forward. Right? That's the jackpot of the physical reunion for some people. But like for me, it's this money as well that I'll get back. But only when I let go. Did I really let go? You've always got to be asking yourself, but have I really let go? Like we say, you've got to always be looking at, is there anything else I can let go of? These experiences with people and places, and it's all about how you feel inside of yourself. And it's all about, does it make you feel bad or does it make you feel good? So until you learn and understand that your reason for here, your divine purpose, can only come from you feeling good at all times in relation to anything going on around you in the physical matrix, these things will repeat and repeat and repeat until you've learned to say no, basically, and say, no, I'm not going to let that make me feel bad. And things will repeat. I had something the other day come in that not, go back 10 years and it would have made me go into loads of shame. No, it didn't, but I noticed it. I was aware of it. It's like, I see you, Mr. Important piece of energetic work in letting go. So just look at what you're being asked to do here when things come in that you've been through repeatedly. You're always being asked to let go of how it makes you feel bad. And things in your life that made you feel bad, thoroughly let go, as in people or being in a location when it's time for you to move. Don't hang on to that place in fear of what comes next, because you've got to trust that what comes next is source derived. Because the more you trust, the more you bounce down from the ego and the dark spots into the higher points, the light spots. And the more you achieve in the end result of being in a constant light spot, which is constant trust. Constant understanding that source will provide for you exactly what it is you need, what is coming for you to thrive in this world, including your physical reunion, anything you need for your physical reunion, including money, including location, including the right house in the right place in the right part of the world. All these things will be coming to you, but you've got to trust that it's coming. Because when you trust, you bounce back up into the light, out of the ego and out of the dark fear that surrounds the whole human race is surrounded by that. There's a layer of it all over the planet, and it's the ego. And when you bounce back into trust and faith, you're eliminating the ego, not just from yourself and your own process, but from the human race, and that's your divine purpose. So it's all, there's so many different lines of organization in this process that you go through that can't be seen with the physical eye. Anyway, back to this money. Right, so I had this money. I had to let this money go. And just recently, I had a little bit of money left from this house that I had in the bank. We go back now, 2019, after I'd moved into this house, and I was walking around the town that I live in, And this particular day I was walking around the town, I had my guides in my head and they were going, spend it, spend it, spend it. And I didn't spend it. I spent little bits of money along the way, but I kept a chunk in the bank in case of an event. Now, why have I kept that in the bank? I kept it out of fear that something will go wrong, that I'll need something to fall back on, because that's fear. That's fear mentality. It's fear-based thinking. It's not trust. It's not trust in my guides. So despite the fact that I had to go through a huge event of having money removed from me, thousands of pounds we're talking there, and then go into trust and faith around getting that back, because I'm still hanging on to money here through fear, I have then had to go through this whole experience all over again. So when I didn't do it in 2019, when they were in my head going, spend it, spend it, spend it, I am now, as we moved into the first portion of this year, they said to me way back last March, they said, in my head, they said shares. Right, so then I went and opened this app that you can get online where you buy shares, but I didn't do anything with it because I was just not in a place emotionally to be able to cope with all that thinking, because there's a lot of thinking in this process of buying up stocks and shares. I bought a couple of things, and funnily enough, those things have turned out to be really, really good investments, because there was one that was told to me by source, so I didn't have to worry necessarily. And there was one I didn't buy, which if I had bought it, I would have trebled my money. But I didn't buy it because I couldn't get my head around it, because there was in too much fearful energy of just purging still. So now what's happened is, as we moved into this first 2 months of this year, is that I've had to take every last bit of money I've got, and I've had to put it into this app that I've got, and I've had to purchase. I've had to basically, this is not a laboured over process, right? It's one weekend, and it's spend it, spend it, spend it, and I had to just basically throw it away without knowing really what I was putting it into, or why I was putting it into that, or whether it'll turn out for good or bad. But I've just had to throw all my money away, like throwing it on a bet of the horses, which is practically the same thing when you're buying shares and you don't know what you're buying and what you're doing it for and what's going to come. So I've had to throw my money away, but I've had to have faith and trust. And they just said again this morning, when I was purging, because I've been purging this morning, out all this fear of what I've just done, you're going to get it all back. So now they're asking me to bounce back up into the light again through trust and faith. So just look at what comes in your life, because everything in your physical life is part of this purpose, but not in the way that you think. It's never about your end point is not there until everything is working out for you from a place of trust and faith. That's your authenticity. When people talk about authenticity, it's trust and faith, because it's source. You know, there is so much spiritual bargaining out there and so much spiritual bullshit out there that would have people think authenticity is ego, that authenticity is, let me just think about this for a while and ask the sacred beings and ask them what they think, and I'll remain in fear and I'll remain in worry and I'll remain corded to my ego, but I'll tell myself that I'm working from a higher energy, but I won't actually do anything in my physical life that's being asked of me. So I won't stand in my present moment, and I won't let go of what is making me feel bad. And what makes you feel bad is going to be brought to you, right? So where I had fear around this money and having to have some money in the bank, I have been asked to let go of the fear. The only way to do that is to let go of the money. I already let go of my twin, but I had to let go of him several times throughout the years before I fully let go. So that as well, right? People come to me and they're like, they've had a mini communication. That's never wrong. You're never not supposed to do that. It's the process of letting go, because you will only get back what you need to let go from your physical twin until you fully let go. So it's never the wrong place to be. So people will be like, so we've had this communication in the physical and I didn't get anything from it. And I'm just wondering, is that still my twin? Is this really going to go anywhere? Are they ever really going to be with me? And, you know, we might tell them, yes, that's your twin, but you've got to let go. Right? And they might let go for a while because they're given some faith and some trust through the reading they get and the guidance they're given. because that's all they'll ever get is faith and trust through that. And then they carry on for a little while in that faith and trust, and of course they go back to the purging process, so they're going up and down. And through that process, you start to forget. You start to forget what you're going through. Your life comes in all around you. It starts to crowd you out with other events and situations. You've still got in the background the pain that being disconnected from the twin in the physical that's playing on you. Right, so you can't quite get into that feeling good place. So then you go reach out to that twin again, because what you're looking for, you're going through a process which at the end point is a feeling good place with no twin to start with. But you reach out to that twin again because you're looking for that feeling good place inside of yourself, but you're thinking it's going to come from someone outside of yourself. So you want it from that person first. But it doesn't work that way, because that is not letting go of that person. It works by you, first of all, coming into your feeling good without that person. And only then is the time when you won't reach out, because I've seen it and I know the feminine doesn't reach out. The masculine comes forward. They reach out. They come back when you feel good, when you've thoroughly let go of them. But the points of letting go along the line are never, the physical connection along the line is never wrong if that happens. It just is to make you let go another time and another time and another time. No, it's not going to feel good probably when you're faced with someone not wanting you again and it not giving you what you want in the physical world. But really, it doesn't really matter, because you'll move past that point and you'll keep going until you have, and then you got to go in this, there'll be this egoic letting go as well that goes on. I've seen this letting go, right? And this letting go is people going, oh, well, I didn't want them anyway. No, I'm just going to shut them out now. I'm just going to forget about them. I don't want them anyway. No, they've said that and done that to me. You've got to understand that's your ego. That's not a point to let go. That is your ego. You're here to uncord from the ego. So until that goes from you, you will not have let go. So just understand that that's not your final point. It's never your final point. I went through that point several times. Every time I reached out in the physical and got nothing back, I went through that point again, until eventually that point had gone completely and it couldn't be accessed anymore through me energetically. And now the let go point in me is akin to not giving a shit either way, basically. And just feeling good. But I know when I'm purging, because when I purge, I'll start to be, I don't want this. I start running away inside of myself. When you're inside of yourself and saying, I don't want them anyway, that's your ego. That is the running away. That's what the ego does. It runs away. And that's what makes your twin run away in the first place. So when you finish clearing that runaway energy from inside yourself, they'll clear it from inside of themselves, because it's your process that clears the energy. It's never them. You can't focus on them and wait for them to clear their process. You can't say, when will they be healed? Or how can I heal them? What do they need? What do they need in terms of, to get better, to stop running from me? What they need is for you to let go of them. What they need is for you to focus on your feeling good. What they need is for you to focus on your connection to source, in having trust and faith that whatever turns up on your doorstep and whatever you're guided to do in whatever way by source is exactly how it's meant to be at the time, and to do it and then let go. And if that includes twice over, can you tell I've been purging this morning? Twice over, throwing every single penny you've got on a three-legged horse, then that is what you do. So, and funnily enough, when I was 7 or 8 years old, my father used to let us all put a bet on the Grand National, which is a horse race. And I said to him, I just looked down the list of horses in the paper. He said, pick one. And I pointed to Red Rum. And I said, that one. And he turned to me and he said, oh, you can't put any money on that. That's not going to win. And that first time that horse had run that race and he won it, and the odds were something crazy, like 100 to 1. And he won it. And I knew, because I know, because of connection to source, right? And not only that, he kept winning it year after year after year after year after year. So even back then, way back in my life, when I was that age, I was given a taste of understanding that you just got to do what you're told to do by source, right? Without questioning, without worrying, without stressing, without moaning or complaining, without saying, when am I going to get my just rewards for this work that I'm doing? And when is that carrot on the end of the stick going to stop being a carrot on the end of the stick and become my physical reunion? So you've just got to go along with what they're asking you to do and just continue to let go without all that going on, right? Because none of that is let go. None of it at all is let go. And let go is every present moment. And it's not asking inside yourself in the present moment, this spiritual bypassing is where people say, I am in the process of letting go. And they're not let go at all. They've got like about 1 billion things that they think about all the time and worry about all the time and stress about all the time, but they're just using the words let go or the word surrender. And it's like they're waving the banner and they're flying the flag, or they're talking the talk, but they're not walking the walk. And the let go is just let go. There isn't anything that then to be in the present moment having on your plate that is not let go of. So it's just a complete understanding in the present moment that everything is how it's meant to be. And inside your twin, what's going on inside of your twin, in the head, what you're letting go of is serving them letting go in their head. Because as you let go in your head, they let go in their head. And then the energy can keep moving it forward. Because the energy can't move things forward if everybody's in their head in a state of not let go. And then the next thing comes along in your path and you'll be asked to let go again. And then the next thing and the next thing and the next thing until there's nothing, until you're like Muhammad on the hill or you're like Moses in the desert and there's nothing left for you to let go of, right? But even like you look at Moses in the desert, right? He didn't have to do a load of complaining, right? God, where are you? And all that kind of stuff. Because he was purging it out, right? He was purging out his need for an answer right now that God wasn't giving him. So it ended, and then it ended up with God giving him a hell of a lot of work to do in the end, wasn't it? It was the tablets with all that stuff, the commandments and the burning bush. I don't remember. Something about a burning bush. And, but I bet he regretted it afterwards, saying, where are you? Why are you ignoring me? Because God was like, here you are. Go and share this information with everybody on earth. There's some work for you. You happy now? So, and you got to know as well, right, that when you come into your physical reunion with your twin, you're thrown back into the matrix to work in the physical world. So it's going to be non-stop and you'll have loads of stuff to do. And, once you get into all of that, yes, there'll be love. Yes, there'll be romance. Yes, there'll be hearts and flowers and there'll be sensual touching and sex and all that kind of stuff. But there'll also be dirty socks on the floor and people not leaving the lid off the toothbrush and all that kind of stuff. You will return to the physical world. You return to that. You have that person in your life as a physical person, and you have to let go around your fear of that as well. Because another thing I've seen is people who they are so hanging on to what they've got in the right now, which is next to nothing. Like I say, it's a dime or it's a nickel. And the reason they're hanging on to that is their own fear. And they don't even recognise their own fear that they're in, that their fear of having the whole thing is what's actually stopping them from having the whole thing. And they think it's all in the twin and the one they're connected to, and all that fear is coming from that person. But it isn't, it's in them. And it's their fear of being with someone full time, full on, physical. Especially the ones that haven't had it for a really long time, haven't had anyone in their life for a really long time or sex for a really long time. The fear is there. It's not on their radar because it's been so long they've had that. But if they were to go towards that in any way inside themselves and start to imagine that, one of the first things that would come up is fear in relation to it. So all that fear has to be cleansed as well. And that's not from your twin, that's from you. That's your running energy. So look at the way the running energy comes in around you and inside you in whatever way that comes in. and you'll see what needs to be let go of. All your fear. And anything that it's not just all your fear, it's anything you could be afraid of. It's almost like this journey brings in things that, let's just check that you're not afraid of this. No, you weren't afraid of it last week because it wasn't even in your life. But let's just bring it in now, and we're just going to make sure that you're not afraid of it, just in case you were, even though you never even thought of it. So it's like loads of things that come at you for you to let go of your fear of it. Right? Left, right, and centre, which is why it's also so, this journey is so like, it's like you're pushing against the tide all the time, right? Because you're being asked to let go and surrender, but they just bring all this stuff in all the time. And it's like as soon as one job's done, you have to do another job and another job and another job. And it's all the letting go, and it comes at you and at you and at you, one thing after another, on top of the purge that you're already going through because of the twin. You have everything else come at you that you also need to let go of. So just to say, that is the work of letting go, and it's in every single moment of every single day. And it's never just one specific thing. When you look at it from a physical lens, you're always just going to say, okay, so I've got Aunt Edna, who I know is a narcissist. She's 99 years old. She's going to die any minute. I'm really being guided to let go of her now, and I'm in conflict inside of myself because she's an old lady. But you have to follow your source, right? So despite the fact that she's an old lady and that she's 99, and it's not coming from my personal opinion, it's coming from source, you have to let go of what makes you feel bad. And if that makes you feel bad, you have to let go of that. That's just how it is. There is no, you cannot function from an egoic perspective on things and be like, that's right, that's wrong. Because if you do, you're in the ego. And the ego has no right to say what's right and what's wrong, because we're all here for a destined purpose. So Auntie Edna's destined purpose at 99 years old is be the force to be reckoned with that you need to let go of. That's her purpose in being here. So nothing is ever wrong, right? In terms of that. So we got that. And the other thing is, just because you got Auntie Edna who's there in 99 and needs to be let go of, because she's a narcissist, doesn't mean that that's the only thing. And that then everything's going to be resolved. That's just a big ticket item that you can see that's stuck like a big sticker on your forehead. There's everything else that's out there that's a peripheral item that's still on the roundabout, that still hasn't come in yet. They're still on the conveyor belt that still hasn't flowed past you yet in this work that has to be done of letting go. So, it's not like, sometimes you can't see the wood for the trees, right? Because you're looking at Auntie Edna, but there's a million other things out there that you need to let go of. And one is your twin and them in the physical, so the vibration can reformulate. And then there's everything else that you've ever been scared of, everything else that you've not let go of, everything else that you, even like I say, that you don't even know yet, that they're going to test you on whether you feel scared of it, so that you can let go of it despite the fact that you never even knew it was there. So it's constant, and it's not just what stares you in the face, it's everything. Okay, so that's it. And now I'm going to leave that there. I hope that's helped some people. Lots of love. Bye.